March 28th holds potential for a major shift. If it doesn't happen instantly, expect a gradual but undeniable transformation unfolding before us. This morning, my spirit guides woke me up with a clear message, May 18th. I don't know exactly what's coming, but they emphasize that it's a day of great importance. Something powerful is on the horizon, and the next 3 months will be incredibly prophetic. We're stepping into a time of massive shifts, where the very foundations of power will shake. Governments are on the brink of collapse. Iran, Russia, and others teeter on the edge. The momentum of change is undeniable. The earth is speaking, fires rage, floods rise, and climate shifts dramatically. Nature reflects the chaos within humanity. History is unfolding before our eyes. The old is collapsing, making way for the new. Can you sense it? Hello everybody, I'm Susan Lin. One evening I was overcome by an intense dizziness, so sudden, so overwhelming, that I had no time to react. The world around me blurred, and before I knew it, everything faded to black. But what happened next was unlike anything I had ever experienced. I felt myself lifting, as if an invisible force was pulling me away from my body. It wasn't frightening. It was peaceful, almost like being carried by a gentle current. Then, a radiant light surrounded me, warm, powerful, all-encompassing. I couldn't resist it, nor did I want to. And then I opened my eyes. Standing before me was Jesus Christ. His presence was overwhelming in the most profound way, not just in sight, but in feeling. It was as if every ounce of love, wisdom, and truth radiated from him. He didn't need to speak for me to understand. With a mere glance, he revealed to me visions of the future. I saw events unfolding, moments of great change, of turmoil, of awakening. It was as if time itself had unraveled before me, showing me what was yet to come. What I witnessed that night changed everything. That night changed everything for me. Not just what I saw, but how I understood the flow of energy in our world. It was the beginning of a journey that led me to a deeper awareness of the shifts happening around us. So, this is how I got here. How I came to understand the way energy shifts and moves through our world. If you've been wondering, will there be a major shift on a specific date? I hear you. Some people are pointing to March 21st, which, depending on where you are, is already upon us. Now, here's what I've learned, the hard way, about energy shifts. They don't always hit like a lightning bolt. They ripple, they unfold over time. Think back to 2012, a major energetic shift happened, but did we feel it immediately? Number. The real impact didn't fully take shape until years later, 2015, 2016, when things truly started to move on a global and personal scale. Energy doesn't just snap into place overnight, it weaves its way through human consciousness. That said, I do believe something significant is happening tomorrow, March 21st. The energy has been building. We've had powerful eclipses, strong astrological alignments, and a collective momentum that is undeniable. This shift is real, but will we feel it instantly? Maybe, maybe not. Sometimes these changes take time to integrate. Then, there's March 28th, another day that carries potential. Could something big happen? Absolutely. But this morning, something even more striking happened to me. I woke up with a message, May 18th. My spirit guides made it clear that date is important. Why? I don't have the full answer yet, but they were firm. Something on a global scale is going to unfold. And if I've learned anything, it's that when my guides highlight a date, I listen. Here's what I feel deep in my soul. The next 3 months will be pivotal. not just in subtle ways, but in ways that will shake the foundations of our world. I see governments collapsing, maybe not the US, but I do sense a reckoning in places like Iran, Russia, and possibly even Israel under Netanyahu. The old structures, those built on control, oppression, and deception, are beginning to crumble. And here's why. Imagine a house built on sand. For years it stands, seemingly solid. But when the sand beneath it begins to shift, when the foundation can no longer hold, the entire structure collapses. This is what we are witnessing now. Power structures are crumbling, their illusions fading into the past. And when a system is built on injustice, control, and karma left unresolved, it cannot stand forever. Let's talk about America's karma, because it's part of this global shift. The foundation of the United States was built on conquest, control, and oppression, the taking of land, the enslavement of people. These wounds have never truly healed. Instead, they've been buried, ignored, or repackaged. But energy doesn't just disappear. It lingers. It demands resolution. And now, the universe is offering us an opportunity, a karmic moment to heal. But healing doesn't come easily. It requires us to face the truth, to acknowledge the past, to feel the weight of history, and, instead of ignoring it, transform it. This is why the coming months will be so powerful. Truth is rising, and deception is crumbling. The era of hidden agendas is ending. We are in the middle of something huge. Whether or not we see the full effects on March 21st or March 28th, the energy is shifting, and it's undeniable. By May 18th, I believe we will see major global events that shake the world awake. And in the next 3 months, we are entering a time of reckoning, revelation, and renewal. It may feel chaotic, it may feel uncertain, but this is what transformation looks like. The old must fall so that something new and aligned can rise. And as these shifts unfold, it's not just human structures that are being affected. Earth itself is responding. The planet is speaking, and if we pay close attention, we can sense the warnings in the air, in the water, and beneath our very feet. Lately, the energy has been heavy. I can feel it shifting, moving like an unseen force, trying to find the weak spots where it can break through. And when energy builds like this, it has to release somewhere. I don't say this lightly, but my visions are clear. We are entering a period of intense natural upheaval. I've been shown a major tsunami, something along the lines of what happened in Phuket, though perhaps not quite as devastating. The energy I'm picking up feels drawn toward Japan or the surrounding region. Water, vast and unforgiving, moving with unstoppable force. But it doesn't stop there. I see raging fires, more fires than before, consuming land and pushing people to the edge. I see massive floods, overwhelming cities and towns, reshaping coastlines. It's like the earth is recalibrating itself, forcing change where it's needed most. But then came something even more specific. A few nights ago, I received a very strong message about an earthquake, one that isn't on most people's radar. Most would assume California, right? But no, this one is different. A hidden fault line near Nashville, the East Madrid Fault, has been calling my attention. My guides revealed a vision of the Mississippi River flowing backward, an eerie event that has happened before. If this event unfolds as I've seen it, the consequences would be devastating. The silver lining: the area isn't densely populated, but the downside. The terrain, steep mountains, rugged landscapes, would make rescue and recovery efforts incredibly difficult. And then there's St. Louis. I keep getting visions of seismic energy tied to that city, possibly connected to the New Madrid fault, which is known for its catastrophic potential. Whether the release happens along the Madrid, East Madrid, or New Madrid faults, one thing is clear: something is shifting beneath the surface. California is no stranger to earthquakes. They've learned to live with them. That said, I do see a significant quake on the horizon. Not a disaster-level event, but enough to be felt. For most Californians, anything below a 5.0 is just another day. But I'm picking up on something around a 4.8, possibly creeping into the low fives. It won't be catastrophic, but it will be noticeable. A wake-up call, perhaps. However, what really caught my attention isn't the earthquake. It's the vineyards. I didn't expect this, but when I tuned into the energy of California, something else appeared. There's an issue coming for the vineyards, something biological, an insect, a disease, or a virus attacking the plants. It's not just one farm, not just one small outbreak. This feels bigger. And here's the impact. Wine prices will skyrocket. It could be something eating through the vines or some sort of plant contagion spreading. But whatever it is, it will cause noticeable financial and agricultural consequences. Now, I can't ignore what's happening globally. There's an undeniable feeling of instability, politically, economically, and even energetically. Governments are on the verge of collapse. I see Iran, Russia, and possibly even Israel under Netanyahu facing moments of reckoning. Systems built on deception and control can only stand for so long before they crumble. The energy I'm picking up isn't just about politics, it's about humanity's shift. We are standing at a crossroads. The earth is shifting. Governments are shifting. People are waking up. Some will fight against the change. Others will embrace it. But one thing is certain: nothing will remain the same. So what happens next? We brace ourselves. We stay aware. We listen to the signs, to the shifts in energy, and to what the earth is telling us. Because whether it's natural disasters, political upheaval, or economic shifts, the old world is dissolving, making way for something new. But the upheaval we are witnessing, whether through the Earth's movements or the collapse of long-standing systems, is only part of the story. There is another force at play, one that lingers in the shadows of global affairs, waiting for the perfect moment to surface. And for months now, I have seen a vision that refuses to leave me. For months, I have had a vision that refuses to leave me. It lingers in my mind like an unresolved question, pressing on my thoughts, demanding to be spoken about. At first, I thought it was just another wave of collective anxiety, a reflection of the unrest we see daily in the world. But the more I tuned in, the clearer it became. This isn't just a vague feeling. This is a warning. Something is coming, and it will shake us to our core. It starts small, a diplomatic tension, a minor conflict, a cyber attack. But in an instant, it spirals beyond control. It spreads like wildfire, igniting tensions across multiple nations, pulling more and more players into the crisis. At first, the world watches with concern, but without panic. But then, almost like an explosion, everything shifts. This is when fear takes over, when governments scramble to respond, and when people everywhere begin to ask the terrifying question: is this the beginning of World War III? The air is heavy with uncertainty, but one thing stands out: nuclear tension. I don't foresee an attack, but the fear of one will grip the world. Leaders will issue threats. Nations will posture with their military forces. There will be a moment of absolute panic, a moment where it will seem as though we are standing on the very edge of the abyss. The media will amplify the fear, financial markets will tremble, and everyday people will feel the weight of uncertainty like never before. The world will hold its breath, believing for a moment that we have crossed a line from which there is no return. But then, something shifts. I don't see this escalating into a full-scale global war. I see a near miss, a last-minute decision, an intervention, or an unforeseen event that stops the situation from spiraling into complete disaster. Perhaps backdoor diplomacy prevails, or perhaps someone within the crisis pulls back at the final moment, preventing what seemed inevitable. Cooler heads will just barely win out, but not before we, as a collective, are forced to look at how dangerously close we came to destruction. Even though war itself may not fully materialize, this event will leave scars. The impact will not simply fade away. The world will not move on as though nothing happened. Instead, the aftermath will reshape global power structures in ways we cannot yet fully grasp. Trust between nations will erode further, alliances will shift, and economic stability will be shaken. Some governments may collapse under the weight of their own failed decisions. Others may rise in response to the chaos. But one thing is certain: the illusion of global security will be shattered forever. For decades, humanity has lived with the belief that certain things are simply unthinkable. We have believed that nuclear war is not an option, that full-scale world wars belong to history, and that global institutions will always prevent catastrophe. But this event, this near miss, will make us question everything we thought we knew. It will force us to confront a reality we have long ignored, that war is always just a few decisions away, and that humanity is still walking the fine line between peace and destruction. And that brings me to the most important question: what happens next? If we are not careful, this event will set a dangerous precedent. It will show the world how easily we can be brought to the brink of devastation. It will embolden some leaders, making them believe they can push even further next time. It will leave others more paranoid, more reactive, more willing to strike first. And if we do not learn from this moment, if we do not recognize the patterns of history, then the next time we may not be so lucky. This is why I believe consciousness matters now more than ever. We are not just spectators in this unfolding timeline. We are participants. Our collective energy, our focus, our awareness, and our willingness to seek truth all contribute to the path we take from here. If we allow ourselves to be consumed by fear, division, and anger, we will only accelerate the cycle of destruction. But if we shift our focus to healing, unity, and higher awareness, we may still have the power to alter the course we are on. War is easy. It is built on control, deception, and fear. It thrives in an environment where people are divided, where emotions override reason, where power is placed above humanity. But peace is a choice, and it is a much harder one. It requires awareness. It requires breaking out of the cycles we have been conditioned to accept. It requires a willingness to challenge the narratives we are given, to question who truly benefits from war, and to ask ourselves if we are willing to take a different path. The event I see coming will test humanity in ways we have not experienced in generations. It will force us to confront the darkest parts of our nature. It will bring out our deepest fears. It will show us how fragile our sense of security truly is. But within that challenge, there is also an opportunity, a chance to finally wake up, to break free from the old systems that have led us here, and to choose something better. The next few months, the next few years, will be critical. We are walking a thin line, and how we respond, both individually and collectively, will determine the future we create. So now I ask you, will we continue down the same path of division, conflict, and destruction? Or will we finally step into a new level of awareness, where we realize that the only way forward is through unity and truth? Because while war may seem inevitable, the truth is, it isn't. We still have the power to change the course of history. Yet beyond the looming threats of war and global instability, there is something even more profound at play. Something bigger than politics, bigger than nations. This isn't just about power struggles. It's about a fundamental transformation, a shift in consciousness that is reshaping our entire reality. Something profound is happening to our planet. This isn't just a political shift, an economic realignment, or another cycle of history repeating itself. It is something far bigger, a global awakening, a transformation of consciousness that is reshaping the world as we know it. I can feel it deep in my soul, and I know many of you feel it too. This is not just a moment of change, it is a moment of reckoning. Mother Earth herself is evolving. Her vibration is rising, and she's calling on all of us to rise with her. This isn't a choice. It's a natural progression, an energetic shift that is happening whether we are ready for it or not. The Earth is moving forward, and we either align with this higher frequency or find ourselves struggling against the current. It's as if a great cosmic bus is leaving the station, and we have two options: get on board or be left behind. And this shift is not just happening on a spiritual level. It is manifesting in politics, economics, global power dynamics, and even in the very fabric of our societies. Right now, I believe the United States is at the center of this awakening. Not because it is more important than other nations, but because it is being forced to confront something that has long been ignored: its own wounds. The United States, like many other nations, was built on conquest, on the taking of land, on systems of oppression that were never fully acknowledged or healed. And now, astrologically, spiritually, and even politically, America is being asked to face these wounds head-on. This is why we are seeing so much turmoil, so much division, and so much resistance. The old systems are trying to hold on, but the energy of change is too strong. The foundation of the US was built on the illusion of endless dominance, the belief that it would always be the leader of the world, the protector of democracy, the economic powerhouse that could not be challenged. But that era is over. The world is shifting, and America is no longer the unchallenged superpower it once was. Whether people want to accept it or not, the global order is changing, and the US is no longer at the top. For some, this is a hard pill to swallow. But perhaps, just perhaps, the US was never meant to hold that position forever. Now, if the United States is no longer the dominant force, then the next question becomes, who is? Who will rise to take its place? Right now, the world is experiencing a power vacuum. The old order is crumbling, and new leaders are stepping in to claim their spot. The battle for dominance is already underway. And the players? They are not who they used to be. Russia, once a major global force, is now fading. My guides have called it a vassal state, a nation that no longer controls its own destiny. And who is taking control? China. As Russia weakens, politically, economically, and even militarily, China is moving in, expanding its influence, securing resources, and strategically positioning itself as the dominant power. This was not the plan just a few years ago. China was struggling. Its real estate market was collapsing, its population was shrinking, and its economic future seemed uncertain. But now it has maneuvered itself into a position of strength, playing the long game and emerging as a true superpower. But there is another contender stepping into the spotlight: India. My guides keep drawing my attention toward India, and I understand why. It is one of the most populous nations in the world, with an expanding economy, a growing technological sector, and an untapped potential for global influence. India is positioned to challenge China's dominance, especially in trade and manufacturing. The world has depended on China for production for decades, but now India is stepping up to take its place. This shift will create a new kind of economic rivalry, one that will shape the future of global markets. And while these nations rise, the entire global power structure is shifting. The European Union is strengthening, with nations coming together in ways we haven't seen before. Canada, Mexico, and South American countries are beginning to assert their independence, realizing that the old economic dependencies no longer serve them. Meanwhile, countries in Asia, Japan, Korea, and Southeast Asia are forging new alliances, recognizing that they must secure their own futures in a world where traditional powerhouses are losing their grip. And then there's the wild card: India. India has long straddled the fence, choosing to remain neutral in many global conflicts. But soon, it will have to choose a side. Will it align with China and Russia, or will it forge a new path, one that could potentially reshape global trade and politics forever? This shift isn't just about who trades with whom. It's about who holds power. It's about a global struggle to redefine economic and political dominance. It's chaotic, it's messy, and it's happening right now. The guides have shown me that this is not just a trade war. It's a battle for the future of the world. Countries that once relied on foreign goods and production are now realizing that they must become self-sufficient. The global supply chain is breaking down, and nations are beginning to look inward, focusing on producing their own goods, controlling their own resources, and securing their own economies. This shift will lead to conflicts, new rivalries, and economic disruptions. But in the long run, it is necessary. The world is learning that over-reliance on a few dominant economies is no longer sustainable. So, what happens next? We are witnessing the collapse of the old world order and the birth of something new. But birth is painful. Transformation is never easy. The key question is, will we learn from the past, or will we repeat the same cycles of war, conquest, and division? This isn't just about politics or economics, it's about consciousness. Mother Earth is evolving, and we must evolve with her. If we cling to fear, competition, and dominance, we will suffer. But if we embrace cooperation, adaptation, and unity, we have the chance to thrive in this new world. This is not a time to be afraid. It is a time to wake up. The energy is shifting, the world is changing, and we, as individuals, have a choice. Will we resist the inevitable, clinging to old power structures that no longer serve us? Or will we rise with the shift, embracing a new way of thinking, a new way of existing? Because one thing is certain: the world, as we knew it, is gone. A new one is emerging. But this transformation isn't just about shifting global powers or the rise and fall of nations. There is something deeper unfolding, something hidden beneath the surface, beyond politics, beyond economics. And if we look closely, we can see that the very fabric of reality itself is being challenged. Something profound is happening. It's not just another economic downturn, another political shakeup, or another wave of war and instability. What we are witnessing right now is the collapse of the old world order and the rise of something entirely new. The global power structure is shifting, and with it, everything we once thought was stable is now unraveling. Countries are realigning, economic systems are breaking down, and the illusion of control that once kept the masses content is falling apart. And while the news headlines may tell us one thing, the real story, the one playing out behind closed doors, is far more complex. At the heart of this transformation is a global power struggle unlike anything we've seen before. The world is already deep in a trade war, and while many think of trade wars as simple disputes over tariffs and exports, this is much bigger. This is about who will dominate the next era of civilization. Nations are no longer willing to be dependent on one another. The pandemic exposed how fragile global supply chains really are. When one part of the world shuts down, the entire system starts to collapse. Countries are realizing that self-sufficiency is survival, and that means breaking away from the traditional economic dependencies that have shaped the world for decades. The United States, once the dominant economic force in the world, is now facing the hard reality that its time at the top is coming to an end. This is not just speculation. It is already happening. China has outmaneuvered the US on multiple fronts, securing control over critical resources, technology, and global trade routes. Russia, once a powerhouse, is being systematically weakened, with its influence slowly fading as China begins to pull the strings behind the scenes. India is rising, stepping onto the world stage as a serious contender, and will soon have to choose whether to align with the old world order or forge a new path. But beyond these geopolitical maneuvers, there is something even more insidious happening behind the scenes. The world is being pushed toward a new form of governance, one that eliminates the unpredictability of democracy and consolidates power in the hands of a few. The elites who run the world don't like democracy. They don't like elections. They don't like the fact that people can vote for human rights, for economic justice, for policies that benefit the majority instead of the ruling class. So what's the solution? Replace democracies with dictatorships. It's easier to control a dictator than an entire population. A dictator doesn't need to win public approval, he just needs to be paid off. This is why we are seeing a rise in authoritarianism across the globe. It is not a coincidence. The people at the top of the global hierarchy want to return to the old system, the system where powerful families controlled entire nations, where deals were made behind closed doors, and where the public had no say in how the world was run. The scary part, it's already happening. Many Americans are blind to it, but the rest of the world sees it clearly. Europe, Canada, South America, they all recognize what's unfolding. They see that democracy is being eroded, that the decisions shaping the future are no longer made by the people, but by corporate and political elites who are engineering a global shift toward absolute control. But there is another side to this story, one that takes us beyond politics and into the unknown. There is something happening that we are not being told. For years, people have speculated about whether world governments have been secretly working with extraterrestrial intelligence. The evidence is overwhelming, yet the truth remains buried beneath layers of secrecy and misinformation. During World War II, strange aircraft were seen near nuclear testing sites, seemingly interfering with nuclear technology. These were called Foo Fighters at the time, unidentified flying objects that defied known physics. Since then, more reports have surfaced, suggesting that there has been direct or indirect contact between world leaders and non-human entities. And here's the most shocking part. I believe governments have been working with certain extraterrestrial groups for decades. But not all of these beings have the same agenda. Some groups seem to want humanity to evolve, to move toward higher consciousness and free itself from the systems of control that keep people in a cycle of fear and dependence. But others, the ones who have been influencing our leaders, have different intentions. They see Earth not as a home, but as a resource. They are here for something we don't fully understand, certain minerals and elements hidden deep within our planet. Materials that hold immense power but are beyond our current level of scientific knowledge. These materials are being mined in secret, and the governments that are aware of this are allowing it to happen. Why? Because the people in power are benefiting from it. The same governments that claim to be protecting us are actively hiding the truth, not just about extraterrestrials, but about technology that could change everything. Free energy exists. Unlimited sustainable power has been discovered. But if that information became public, the global economy would collapse overnight. Fossil fuels would become obsolete. Utility companies would lose their grip on the world. And the elite, the ones who profit from keeping humanity dependent on artificial scarcity, would lose control. This is why everything feels unstable right now. It's not just politics, not just war, not just economics. The entire structure of our reality is being exposed, and those in power are doing everything they can to keep the truth from coming to light. But here's the thing. Change is coming, whether they like it or not. The Earth itself has a frequency, a vibration that resonates across dimensions. And right now, we are out of balance. Our collective energy has shifted too far into chaos. And that shift is affecting not just us, but other existences beyond our own. Because everything in the universe is connected, our instability is creating ripples that extend far beyond this planet. And now we are on the radar of higher dimensional beings, what I can only describe as the spiritual guardians of the universe. These beings do not usually interfere, but they have been forced to step in because Earth's energy is disrupting something far greater than we realize. They are not here to save us. They are here to correct an imbalance. We were never meant to be a utopia. Struggle and growth are part of the human experience. But we were also never meant to be this broken. The level of corruption, deception, and destruction we are witnessing is beyond what was intended. And now, intervention is necessary, not because we are special, but because our planet's energy has become too unstable. So here we are, standing at the edge of the most important shift in history. Everything we thought we knew is being questioned. The systems that ruled us are crumbling. The truth is breaking through. The real question is, are we ready for it? Because once the truth comes out, the world as we know it will never be the same again. We have a choice to make. Do we cling to the old world, ruled by fear and deception? Or do we rise into a new reality? One where we take control of our own destiny, where we reclaim the knowledge that has been kept from us, and where we finally understand who we truly are. The awakening has begun. Will you rise with it? Everything I've shared with you today is not just speculation. It's happening right now. The world as we know it is crumbling, and a new reality is emerging. But here's the catch. Not everyone will be ready for what's coming. The truth is being revealed piece by piece, and those who open their eyes will be the ones who step into the future with awareness, power, and purpose. We are standing at the greatest turning point in human history. Governments are keeping secrets. The elite are fighting to maintain control. But there is nothing they can do to stop the awakening that is happening across the planet. The question is, will you embrace the truth, or will you let fear keep you asleep? I need to hear from you. What do you think is really going on behind the scenes? Have you felt this shift? Have you sensed that something big is coming? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. Your voice matters, and together we can uncover the truth they don't want us to see. If this message resonates with you, if you feel the power of this moment, hit the like button, share this video with others, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another revelation. Stay connected, stay aware, and stay strong. And remember, God's plan is unfolding, and those who seek the truth will be blessed. May He guide you, protect you, and prepare you for the incredible journey ahead. Stay awake, stay ready. The time is now.